So welcome back to firmware request number 15 already, and this one is also about magnification, but and again kind of triggered about something I was doing yesterday, since I'm redoing some of the older Did You Notice videos, or maybe that's not even true. I think I saw that quite a few people are watching my video about magnification and AF combination. So I figured it was good to maybe see how that could be improved. So let's go to the report. So basically the question here is can't you also improve some of the because it's a really cool feature. I will show you how it works, but can you improve that you not only can do magnify and still do autofocus, which is a cool feature, but can you please improve it in 3 different ways? So the first is basically allow us to set the color of the dot, which is very reminiscent of the first bug request or the firmware request, which is make the dot orange in normal mode. The same is kind of true in this magnification because it's hard to see. The second one is part is basically allowing the way that it works, as far as I can see, is that it does a contrast focus on the whole image. I will show it. And it's unclear to me why we can only have 1 point. Basically, they show you a little star or a cross in the middle, which is difficult to see. That was point 1. But it's also unclear to me why there's only 1 dot, or at least why I can't move the dot around. Because that would be very helpful, and I think they could make it almost like the spot a cluster of contrast detect, similar to some of the modes that we find in the focus, magnify, expand, for example, mode. So let me show you what I mean. Let's go back into the camera. Oops, that's this one. Sorry about me switching a bit. I programmed the buttons wrongly today. So you can see there's the camera again. I'm in not continuous mode because then it doesn't work. So I decided to go in DMF mode. And I'm using the back button again, this button, this camera, which is still not sharp, but I don't care. So if I press that, and I will zoom in. Now, of course, normally if I would focus, I do the back button focus, it focus. Well, that makes perfect sense, right? But if I zoom in, you can see that I can still focus because I get this cross in the middle, and I can still hit my autofocus and it will still do autofocus. Now there are some really cool features of this. To begin with, if you didn't notice, you can, I'm trying to do that on the screen, it doesn't make any sense, so let me do it by hand. One of the nice things, although it's probably difficult to show you in this case, let's see what it does. You can go all the way up to the edge and still give the autofocus command. Well, it actually did do this. So even on the a7riii, which doesn't, let me remind you, doesn't have phase detect points in this area, it clearly is doing a contrast detect probably on the whole picture or where the cross is at the moment. This also shows you already the second problem, or the first problem, is it's very difficult to see where actually the dot is. I know it's kind of in the middle because I can't move it around. It's not possible to move it because instead of moving the dot, you basically are only able to allow you to move the window like this, which kind of works, but it's just not as nice as being able to move the dot. So in my opinion, it would be nicer if we could just drag the dot around, and the moment, and that's probably best to show you on this one, although we don't see a picture, but it would be nice if we can just drag it around, and when I get near the edge, it would start scrolling into the next area. That would, to me, make most sense. I hope it also makes sense to you. And the same thing is true about how it now sort of focus. So if you put it on this, you can see that it can't find focus. It's quite difficult to find focus because it's doing a contrast detect on the edge. So I don't really fully understand why they don't do a normal contrast detect here with multiple points, because I think they're signaling using this cross that it's only using that really small area to do the autofocus. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I don't fully understand why they don't expand on this function, which is pretty unique and very cool to use. Because yeah, it allows you to do a very easy combination of doing an autofocus like I'm doing now. When in doubt, zoom in, focus again. When in doubt, zoom in further, focus again. And a nice thing, because I'm now in DMF mode, it's difficult for you to see, but since I'm in DMF mode, of course I can focus and then still decide to override it in manual, because that's what DMF basically does. So it gives you a really powerful way to zoom into a really small detail and make sure that you hit the focus before you click off a shot. So yeah, I hope that this also makes sense. I think this is an area that I wouldn't say that needs improvement, although making the dot orange would be not a bad idea. I guess the same here, right? Oh, I can't drag it around. But if I use the mouse, which was complaint number 1, it doesn't go orange. If I could use, which I can't do now because of the a7iii, if I could use the touchscreen, it would go orange. The same, of course, is true if I zoom in. It would make sense to me that it also then stays orange, because otherwise it's difficult to see depending on the background. Hope this makes sense to you. And so see you in the next one. Bye bye.